So yes, for those of you who've just joined, a very, very warm welcome. And if you haven't met me yet, I'm Subhadra Mati. And yeah, one of the team leading this retreat. And then I'm here in the London Buddhist Centre Shrine Room with Guillaume and Michael, who are one of our very amazing support team. And we all, three of us, live here at the London Buddhist Centre in the various communities that we have here. So we're very, very pleased to welcome you. And yes, so these morning sessions we've called 6 ways of going deeper. So each morning is building on the previous morning. So hopefully you were able to be here yesterday. If you weren't, then you can catch up because we videoed it. But before I even start saying anything about that, the very, very first thing I want to say is a massive thank you. Because Hippolyte, who's our finance manager, just sent me an email saying about all the donations you've been giving, and I literally nearly burst into tears because everybody has been so generous. So I just was so happy. That helps us so much. It'll help us just keep our retreat centre flourishing so that one day at least some of you will be able to go on retreat at our retreat centre that we've had to close the doors of. So just really want to express, well, just how moved I am actually at people's generosity. So that's the first thing. So I'm going to do just a sentence or two to recap on yesterday, and then we'll go into today's topic. So yesterday, Jnana was talking about the first way of going deeper, and that's the first, in a way, great stage, great aspect of the Buddhist life, which is integration. In a way, it's got to come first. Without integration, you can't really get very far. But although it comes first, it sort of doesn't stop. It keeps on deepening as well. So Jnana was talking about how basically the very first step is to start to learn how to become a whole person, not a sort of bundle of selves. As our own teacher, Bhante Sangharakshita, famously said, usually we're just a bundle of selves loosely tied together with a name and an address. So we're trying to become a whole person, not a conflicted person, and become a person who, we can trust ourselves, and so other people can trust us, a trustworthy person. So that's the first stage of integration, the first step, if you like. And today we're going to be exploring the next step, which is positive emotion. Now, positive emotion isn't, I've come to think, the best term for positive emotion, but I want to say a bit about that later. But first of all, to say that the classic meditation practice connected with positive emotion is the metta bhavana. The classic meditation practice connected with integration is the mindfulness of breathing. Now, hopefully those, if you've come today, you already know the metta bhavana practice, so I won't teach it. If you've still to learn it, then you can join one of our morning sessions at 8:30. And if you've still to learn it, do stay with us, don't go away, and just hopefully you'll be able to sort of muddle along, as it were, in the meditation, and then you can revisit a session and be taught that. So yes, so this is the classic practice. I wanted to sort of just follow up something that Maitreya Bandha was saying just in the previous session. Some of you were there, lots of you were there actually. There was nearly 400 people with Maitreya Bandha at the 8 o'clock session. And what he was really emphasizing is he was really emphasizing cultivating a playful attitude, even an experimental attitude to meditation. And I just wanted to re-emphasize that it's really important. It's really important that we don't allow our meditation just to become another thing to do in our day. This is especially true if you've been meditating for a while. If you're new to meditation, you're actually at a great advantage because you'll have a sort of beginner's mind about it. It won't yet have become another thing to do, another, that's that done, sort of ticked off on your list of things to do. So it's really important that we guard against turning meditation into something utilitarian. In a way, it's really important that we sort of guard against life becoming utilitarian, sort of reducing life to our to-do list. And approach in the right way, meditation can really, really help us with that. One way of really doing this is connecting with beauty. If we think of the Buddha, the Buddha's, the Buddha's the most wise being imaginable, beyond imagination. But the wisdom of the Buddha isn't a cold, detached thing. The wisdom of the Buddha sees everything as beautiful because he sees everything with love, with metta. Just as kind of the other way around, if you're in a bad mood, everything looks ugly, doesn't it? But whereas if your heart's open, if you're connected with love, with metta, then you see the world as beautiful. And it works the other way around too. If you connect with beauty, then in a sense you're connecting with metta. There's very, very close connection of these, very, very close connection of an attitude of wonder, of mystery, and of metta. And I've been really, really pleased. I was looking this morning at our Slack group. Do join our Slack group if you haven't already. It's a great way of keeping in connection with everyone on the retreat and in between the sessions, as it were, a bit like you would on a residential retreat. You'd be going on walks with each other, maybe sitting silently in the lounge together, just looking at the beauties of nature. So joining the Slack group is a way to do that. Anyway, people on the Slack group have been posting experiences of beauty, photographs of beautiful things. And it's absolutely lovely to just be reminded of how even living in a city like we do in London, and many of you do all over the place, there's still, there's beauty to be found, whether it's a sunset over the buildings of East London, the flowers around the bottom of a tree on the street. Even someone saw an owl, which a baby owl in a tree, and photographed it. So really, really lovely to see that you are taking this chance of the retreat to connect with beauty and sharing it. Because beauty and metta are very, very close together. Really want to really encourage you to try and inhabit that attitude to life on this retreat, a sort of an aesthetic attitude rather than a utilitarian attitude. This will really help your meditation go deeper and just help your life to go deeper, actually, as well as be more enjoyable. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 short meditations this morning where we're going to try, they're based on the Metta Bhavana, but we're going to try and bring in this aesthetic dimension. So in the first meditation, although it's based on the Metta Bhavana, in a way it's kind of the Metta Bhavana kind of without metta and without bhavana. We're just going to, it's a kind of a bit like a sort of corrective to that utilitarian attitude that we often have. So what we're going to do is just going to be in 3 stages. And in the first stage, we're simply going to connect with an experience of a time when we remember feeling moved and just dwell with that. Just allow ourselves to dwell with that. So often, I think, we sort of rush on from that. It was very, very interesting. I had an experience of this myself in this morning's 7 o'clock meditation. I was reading a poem to begin with out loud that I really love, a poem by Maitreya Bandha. It's very, very moving. And I felt my heart really moved by this poem. And as we moved into the first stage, I could I could feel the sort of tenderness in my heart. And then I noticed myself saying, okay, enough of that. Now it's time to cultivate metta. And then I suddenly realized, no, this is metta, this tenderness of my heart. This is it. That's all I have to do with, is dwell with that tenderness in my heart through the experience of being moved by the poem. So in this first stage, that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Bring to mind something that's moved you, in perhaps something beautiful in nature, something you've seen or read about, of maybe an act of generosity or kindness, and allow yourself to dwell with that in the first stage. And then in the second stage, we're going to bring our friend to mind as usual. But what we're going to do is we're just going to see what arises. So we're going to deliberately, as it were, not begin trying to cultivate metta as we usually do, but just bring our friend to mind and heart and notice the response, see what arises. And it's fine, whatever arises. Maybe something will arise, maybe something won't. That's fine, as long as you just notice what does arise. But allow yourself to be surprised. And what we're trying to do here is just cultivate a sensitivity towards yourself, a bit like, hope that example that I gave about me in the poem illustrates that. It's almost I was so keen to rush on, I wasn't being sensitive to what was actually there, this like tender, little delicate feeling of being moved. So just notice that, notice it in your heart and in the subtle energy of the body. And then we'll just, in the third stage, we'll just, bring more people to mind, but again, not trying to cultivate metta, just bring, and perhaps everyone on this retreat, you might have looked at people's photographs and been quite touched. I was very touched this morning to see someone meditating with his little girl kind of climbing on him, and just that, I don't know, there was just something very touching about that. Yeah, very, very touching, sort of warm, loving family scene. So perhaps you've just been touched by the sight of someone on this retreat meditating. Okay, so we'll do that, and then that'll be for about 15 minutes, and then I'll say a little bit more and we'll have another short meditation. Or forgot to say the format this morning. After that, we'll be going into groups, and that'll be a chance just to check in about how your retreat is. So this bit lasts till 11 o'clock. Sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. And then we'll have groups for another half hour. Good, so hope that's clear what we're going to do. A 3-stage practice of sort of metta bhavana, but actually without trying to cultivate anything. So it's not really the metta bhavana, but it's a foundation for the metta bhavana. And it's hopefully perhaps undoing some unhelpful tendencies. We're sort of deconstructing, first of all. Good, so we're going to set up for meditation now. So give yourself a moment to set up. And we're just going to close our eyes. Now, just as ever, will lead us into our bodies a little bit. Feeling our weight going down. And now tuning into our heart center. Not our physical heart, but just that area in the center of our chest. That's our emotional center. And just see if we can get a sense of softening around the heart. And now bringing to mind something that's moved you. And just dwelling with that. And allowing yourself to be affected. And now bringing to mind a good friend, just dwelling with them in your imagination. Allowing their presence to affect you. That's all. Now start to bring more people to mind and heart, especially perhaps people on this retreat. ready, in your own time, just opening your eyes and bringing the meditation to a close. Very good. Well done, everyone. So hope that was good. That approach. Shame I can't ask you all individually how that was, but maybe, you know, when you come to groups, yeah, that'll be a chance to talk about what that was like, trying that way of, well, in a way, completely emphasizing the receptive dimension of meditation. All meditation has the receptive aspect and the active aspect. But because most of us usually sort of privilege the active aspect, often when we teach these days, we start off with having a go of what's it like to completely absorb ourselves in the receptive aspect. So that's what we just did there. So I'm going to just say a little bit more, and then we're going to do another 3-stage metta bhavana. And yeah, welcome if you've just joined in a bit late. Very good to see you. So what I was saying at the beginning is this, in this morning, looking at these 6 ways to go deeper in meditation. Yesterday we had integration, the first great stage, if you like, and today we've got positive emotion. But what I was saying was that actually positive emotion isn't really the best term for positive emotion, basically. I think particularly the word positive is a bit problematic because in English, in the English language, we use sort of positive to mean something like pleasure. It can sound like, well, it means something like cheerful and happy. If we say somebody's positive, we kind of colloquially, we mean they're cheerful and happy. It could include that, but it's not necessarily that. For example, sadness isn't a negative mental state in Buddhism. You could be sad and positive. So positive's a bit problematic. Also, emotion's a bit problematic because it makes it sound like it's all about feeling. And while it's not about feeling, it's not just about feeling either. So a better term, I think a way that more conveys it is something like skillful intention. The Buddhist word, as I was saying in my talk last night, or the Buddhist term is kusala karma. So kusala, lovely, lovely word. It means skillful, you know, in the way that, I don't know, a potter might be skillful at making pots or a musician at tuning their instrument. So kusala means skillful. Karma means action. It means intentional action, including the action of our mind, not just our speech and our body, including the action of our mind. So this great stage is really about skillful intention, kusala karma. I think that's more accurate to, and also I think it's really good because it always gives us a next step. It always gives us something to do. If we think that we've got to be happy before we do anything, well, then we won't, you know, well, I know for myself, I wouldn't like do nearly so much. We can't always be happy, but we can always be friendly. We can't always feel cheerful, but we can always give expression to kusala karma. We can always do something friendly do something generous, etc. So I hope that's clear. If I was in the room with you, I'd be asking you to nod your heads right now, if that's clear. So I hope that's clear. It's more accurate and it's more sort of empowering in a way, thinking of it as skillful intention, kusala karma. Yeah, we can't always be happy, but we can always be friendly. So, yeah, so in meditation, it's important to acknowledge how we're feeling. Again, as Jnanavacha was saying yesterday, it's important to, we start where we are. We can't start from where we're not, but also not to be limited by how we're feeling. Yeah, not to sort of wait until we're feeling the right kind of feeling that we think in order to meditate, in order to cultivate generosity and kindness. And also the really important thing as well to remember is how we act, including how we act with our minds, will change us, sort of for good or ill, actually. I was thinking one sort of downside of our chat boxes. I love our chat boxes, by the way, because I love that everyone can say hello and where everybody comes from. And, I think it's the very thing that's building community. The downside means we can give expression to every little thing we're feeling. I've done it myself, so every little irritation, we've got the means to immediately write it down. And I was thinking about this and I was thinking, it's not good for us, it's not good for us to give expression to every single thing we feel. I mean, I should say that to myself. I'm such an extrovert that I'm always doing that. And if you give me a means to do it, I'll do it. But it's not good for us because how we act does change us. It does actually etches itself onto our character. So if I give expression to every single, irritation that I feel, and I am quite an irritable person, I must confess, it'll actually it will make me into a more irritable character, even though it can feel like a temporary relief. It's a sort of outlet. It will make me into a more irritable person. It'll be etched into me, into, even myself physically in a way. So how we act changes us, but of course, that also works on the positive as well. And acting on the positive is just really, really good. Acting on our positive impulses is good in so many ways. It's good in the immediate. It's good for the person that we've acted towards. But also, more importantly, that then creates our character. And Bhante Sangharaj has got a lovely analogy for this that I'm very fond of quoting, or very fond of telling. He said it's like a poet and a poem. So he says the poet, or any artist, so say a poet, writes a poem out of their inspiration. Yeah, so the poem is an expression of the inspiration of the artist. We come along, maybe not so inspired, and we read the poem and we lift it up a bit. We are affected by that. We must all know that, the uplift we can feel when engaging with a work of art. And it's exactly like this with Buddhist practice. What we call skillful, what we call kusala, and is just naturally how a Buddha would act. So a Buddha would it's just second nature to for a Buddha to be kind, generous, and so on. In a certain sense, they couldn't be otherwise. It's the sort of definition of an enlightened being that they just naturally act in ways that we would call skillful. So then we come along, not enlightened, presumably, but if we act like the Buddha, if we act as if we were enlightened, if you like, then that moves us a little closer to the state of enlightenment. That enlightens us a little, just like reading that poem. Yeah, so how we act will change us. So in a way, I was saying earlier, not waiting till we feel great to act generously. I'd even say the best time to act generously is when we're not feeling great. We're feeling a bit low, but down about all sorts of reasons, then I would say just find a way of being kind. There always are opportunities to reach out in small acts of kindness, and that will have an effect on us. And the metta bhavana itself is kusala karma, isn't it? It's skillful action, it's skillful intention. We're wishing ourselves and other beings well. It's a skillful action of mind. So we're going to practice another 3-stage metta bhavana, and this time we really will have the bhavana aspect. We really will be cultivating loving kindness. But I really, really don't want you to forget what we did earlier. I want this loving kindness to come out of that basis of receptivity. In other words, don't be too quick to just kind of start going, may you be well, may you be happy. Actually tune into the person, including, oneself in your imagination first. Allow that receptive dimension to be very, very present and as full as possible. And then the action is like an overflowing of that, yeah? So bring your friend to mind. Perhaps there's a little warmth in the heart when you bring your friend to mind. A little smile might play about your lips when you bring your friend to mind. And it's out of the fullness of that, you can just, like, may you be well. Just wish them well. So then we're bringing in the active, we're bringing in kusala karma, skillful intention, skillful action, but out of the overflowing of receptivity. So we'll meditate again now. Again, it'll be just over 15 minutes, about 5 minutes a stage. And then at the end of that, we'll go straight into our groups. So you'll be assigned breakout groups. And we've got plenty of people on the team, so you probably will be in a group with a team member facilitating. If there's not enough team members to go around, you can just self-facilitate your group. And we won't come back then again to this room, as it were. So I won't see you again after I ring the bell and you go off to your groups. But the next thing is, of course, our body work. I think it's Qigong today. Qigong today. It was yoga yesterday. Really, really recommend that, especially as we've been meditating more. It will really, really help to do some body work. Okay, good. So let's set ourselves up again. Comfortable, relaxed. And once again, we're going to have a 3-stage metta bhavana. And I leave it to yourselves to guide your way through this. I'll ring a bell for each stage. But really remember the receptive aspect. A 3-stage metta bhavana. For the last moment, still sitting still with our eyes closed, just relaxing any effort we're making to cultivate metta, just sitting. Okay, so really, really good, everyone. And I hope you enjoy your groups.